Hello and welcome to this week's edition of your Energy Frontiers, proudly supported by the African Energy Chamber. I am your show host, Justina Okechukwu. As always, we begin with the headline energy news from across the continent. The OPEC Fund for International Development has signed a 10-year $50 million loan agreement with the Africa Finance Corporation to finance infrastructure developments critical to economic growth and job creation across the continent. The loan, according to a joint statement by the OPEC Fund and AFC, doubles the OPEC Fund's commitment to AFC following an initial $50 million 10-year loan provided in January 2021 and builds on collaboration initiated through a cooperation agreement signed back in 2017. An Egypt-based private equity firm, B Investments, has announced the final sale of its entire stake of 6.38% in Total Energies Marketing of Egypt to Total Energies Marketing Afrique SAS for a total sum of $27.6 million. B Investments also stated that it is eligible for an additional amount of about $2.2 million if certain conditions of the Tema transaction with ADNOC Distribution Company are met. Algeria's state-owned oil company Sonatrach has signed a cooperation agreement with the National Council for Scientific Research and Technologies. The agreement looks to strengthen cooperation in the fields of scientific research and technological development, mainly in the field of energy. Africa's pay-as-you-go off-grid solar solutions startup Yellow has announced that it has received a $5 million investment from a social impact investor, Oiko Credit, which will allow the company to reach an additional 89,000 households that lack access to essential energy services in sub-Saharan Africa. And that was a snapshot of your energy news headline. When we return, Africa's premier annual mining event, the Mining Indaba 2023, looks to solve load shedding in South Africa and unlock investment in the sector. More on this in just a moment. Welcome back to the program. The mining sector in South Africa is continuously looking for solutions that could pave the way to improve production and lower its carbon footprints as it seeks to pioneer in the global drive towards sustainable development. Speaking at the Investing in Africa Mining Indaba in Cape Town this week, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa revealed that the electricity crisis has had a huge impact on the mining sector.
The electricity crisis on its own has had a huge impact on the mining industry, as it has had on other industries. 6 months ago, we announced a National Energy Action Plan to improve the performance of our existing power stations and to add new generation capacity to the grid as quickly as possible. Eskom, our electricity generation and transmission and distribution company, has assembled experienced technical teams to improve performance and to recover capacity at power stations, with an initial focus on the 6 least reliable stations. That work is underway right now, and I get continuous reports of precisely what progress is being made. Through a regional power pool agreement, we have already imported 300 megawatts of capacity from neighboring countries and are working to increase this by an additional 1,000. The successful renewable program is being strengthened and implemented. In the last 6 months, we have signed agreements for 25 projects representing 2,800 megawatts of new energy. Now, these projects will soon be proceeding to construction. And I have been to some of the construction sites, as I have been to our existing coal-fired power stations. We are facilitating investment in new generation capacity by private producers, by, amongst other things, removing the licensing threshold for embedded generation projects. Minister Mantashe, following intensive discussions, was able through his department to lift the threshold, and that has led to a great deal of activity in the generation side of the industry. Eskom is looking to purchase surplus power from companies with available generation capacity. The mining sector has been making significant moves itself towards generating its own electricity. And I'm told that there are a few companies that have already started doing so and are already demonstrating a great deal of success. According to the Minerals Council of South Africa, since the licensing threshold was lifted, approximately 89 embedded power generation projects have been developed with a focus on renewable solutions like solar, wind, and battery storage. Not only will these projects support mining operations themselves and bring down operation costs, but they will also add much needed power to the country's overall supply and support South Africa's decarbonization process. Mining is leading the way in developing new energy technologies.
Meanwhile, the South African Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Gwede Mantashe, says the logical way to resolve load shedding is by arresting the decline in the energy availability factor from 75% to 49%.
As a Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, we've put 4 points that we think need attention if we are going to overcome load shedding within the next 12 months. The first one is improving electricity availability factor through a focused funded planned maintenance and existing power stations, procurement of emergency and short-term power from existing facilities and other private power plants, and purchase additional electricity from neighboring countries which can be unblocked in the short-medium term. If neighboring countries offer surplus energy, we must access it. And lastly is to improve the skills capacity at Eskom. This proposal has been put forward for resolving load shedding in the next 12 months, and this will give us space to work on long-term energy security for the country.
The outgoing CEO of Eskom Holdings, Andre de Ruyter, has described the load shedding outlook for 2023 as extremely bleak, but anticipates that from 2024 onwards, there should be a reduction in rolling power cuts in Africa's most advanced economy.
The electricity crisis that we're experiencing at the moment, of course, is a constraint to investment. That's very clear, and that is why we need to resolve it as quickly as possible. But ultimately, we need more capacity, and we have needed more capacity essentially since 1998. And we've been saying this consistently. When I joined, I said Eskom needs 4 to 6 gigawatts of new capacity on the grid immediately in order to give us the headroom to carry out the maintenance on our coal fleet, and we just haven't had that. And therefore, we have had to really struggle to keep our system performing as best we can. And clearly, as best we can has not been good enough in order to address load shedding. So the outlook for 2023, I think, is a tough one. 2023 is going to be a difficult year. But now you come to what is in the pipeline, and this is where we've seen significant and I think very far-sighted investments. Increasingly, we are seeing that we are able to attract more private sector generation capacity to the grid. We see it in our stats, people who connect to the grid. We also see it in numbers collated at NERSA. There's more than 9,000 megawatts of new capacity that is either in the process of being built or in the process of going through engineering, financial close, and EIA processes to get connected to the grid. So our anticipation is that from calendar 2024 onwards, we should see a reduction in the incidence of load shedding. I think the important thing to emphasize, though, is that we shouldn't stop there. We have an aging fleet. We have an unreliable fleet that has been poorly maintained, and we should not sit back and become complacent again and think that we've now got 9,000 megawatts on the grid. We've got to double down and we've got to accelerate the capacity.
And finally, in this package, NNPC New Energy Limited, under its automotive biofuels program, hosted an event on Thursday to execute shareholders' agreement for the development of a cassava fuel ethanol project in Kebbi State, northern Nigeria. The shareholders' agreement was part of the NNPC New Energy Limited's automotive biofuels program for Nigeria.
This has been a very long journey, and I'm very happy that we are able and we have arrived at this point. There's no doubt that this is a critical project, and we must, well, the point we've reached here suggests that we have put in everything we have, the best of what we have, to get to this point. I also ask, we ask collectively that the spirit for which we used to get to this point is the same spirit we use to move forward. We look very, very eagerly for the groundbreaking ceremony. You can be rest assured or best assured that NNPC Limited, our parent company, NNEL, are willing to see this through to a logical conclusion in the spirit of the SHA that's about to be signed, and to the good people of Kebbi State, and most importantly, or equally importantly, Nigeria.
It's a long-term work. We've been on this for a very long time, believing God that someday this day will come to pass. And we're happy to come to Kebbi State. This is the first milestone ever achieved since how many years that we've been on this journey. And we thank Nasiru, Dr. Cargo. We call them Saturdays, Sundays, middle of the night, trying to get clarification. But in all of this, the visionary governor who has been supportive at every point. We thank him very, very much for giving us a smooth sail.
And that's how we wrap up the show for you this week, and we thank you for watching. Remember to follow Energy Frontiers on Frontier Africa Reports website, subscribe to our YouTube, and follow us across all our social media handles as indicated on the screen. It's goodbye from me, Justina Okechukwu, and I'll see you next time.